Jon Jones! You're taking everything I work for, motherfucker! I don't think that's actually the way it went, but regardless, we've got a lot to talk about regarding one Jon Bones Jones today. So strap yourselves in, because if you don't know, you're about to find out. Monday, August 18th, Jon Jones set a couple of tweets off that set the MMA media and MMA Twitter ablaze with speculation. The first indicated he was relinquishing his light heavyweight title. He said he thanked the UFC, he thanked the fans, the title was up for grabs, and urged all the other light heavyweights to go and get it. Immediately, people started typing. They were like, is Jones retiring? Did Jones pop? What happened? Why is he giving up? That's the last we're going to see of Jones.
2 hours later.
Jon Jones sends off another tweet. Says, hey, I just had a really good phone call with the UFC. Looks like we're going to be in negotiations for some heavyweight fights coming up. And then MMA Twitter blew up. People were writing articles instantly. People were talking about possible matchups, motivations, size gains, all this stuff. So there's a lot to talk about. Let's talk about it.
And not only that, we also heard on the same day, August 17th, that Anthony Rumble Johnson, former light heavyweight, title contender, never had the fight with Jones in light heavyweight, but he's coming back as per his manager. That's some big news. And also, August 15th, DC unofficially said he's hanging it up. He's retiring. So these are all thrown into the mix.
The MMA soup that is Jon Jones' return. So DC being retired immediately takes off the table the obvious fight to make for Jon Jones' heavyweight debut. If DC was still fighting, you match Jones up with Cormier, the fans eat it up, it's a good indicator of where Jon Jones is at heavyweight, it works across the board. But DC's retired, or is he? Dana White said he didn't believe that Daniel Cormier would really be retired, win or lose after this fight. Daniel Cormier's manager said, and I paraphrase, Daniel loves money. If they throw enough money at him, he'll fight again. So, Dana doesn't think DC's retired. DC's manager doesn't think he's retired. Would DC unretire for a chance to fight Jon Jones at heavyweight? I think he might.
Yeah, I think he might, and also it's giving him that opportunity to avenge his loss.
Yeah, he lost twice to Jones. One was overturned because Jones popped. But DC is a competitive guy. You can see it. Former Olympian, former 2-division belt holder. Whatever he does, he wants to be the best at.
Yeah, and he said it himself.
Yeah.
Many times, yeah.
The chance to fight Jones again, this time in, I think, DC's better weight class, I think it might inspire him to just be like, fuck it, I'm not retired. Make that fight.
I can certainly see that happening. I mean, not only that, got Rumble Johnson too. Can't count him out.
That's the other thing. Anthony Rumble Johnson was booked to fight Jon Jones at light heavyweight for the title, I believe.
Yeah.
That fight fell through because Jones popped, or he was on cocaine, or he hit a pregnant woman. I can't remember which one it was. The fight fell through, leading to the DC Rumble matchup. Everybody would eat up a fight between Anthony Rumble Johnson and Jon Jones at heavyweight. Rumble's fought heavyweight before. He fought and beat Andrei Arlovski, broke his jaw. You know he could do it. He's a big guy. I'd want to see that fight too.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you think wins that fight?
At heavyweight?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Now, there's a couple other matchups, fairly obvious matchups, to make for Jones between him and fighters who are actually fighting at heavyweight. You've got Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic. Both those fights are bangers. I think Francis is pretty much guaranteed a title shot.
Yeah, that's what Dana has been saying, but you never know. I mean, Jon Jones didn't vacate the light heavyweight title when Dana said that. So this changes everything, and I really want to see Jon Jones fight Ngannou, and I really want to see him fight Stipe also. So make it happen for both of them. I don't care where the title ends up or how it ends up, but I really want to see both of those fights go down, no matter what.
Absolutely. Now, in a fight between Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou, who do you think wins?
Well, we haven't seen him fight heavyweight before, so that will greatly change everything for him. His reach is diminished, his size is diminished, his strength is diminished.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it increased? Because he'll be bulking, bro.
He will be bulking, bro. He said, I think on Twitter also, he said, look at the men in his family. They're all big guys. He said he thinks the move up to heavyweight is going to increase his athletic capacity. It might. Now, Jones has never been known as a one-punch knockout artist. He knocks you out through attrition, a buildup of punches. Francis Ngannou, on the other hand, is the one-punch knockout artist of the heavyweight division.
Yeah, and his reach is quite significant.
Yeah.
So that will diminish if he even has a reach advantage.
I don't know what their reaches are. I'd like to find that out.
We'll put that right.
Mm-hmm. But
it's got to be close.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
But that's a sick fight to make. The thing is, does Dana White stick to his word and give Ngannou the title shot for his next fight? Now, Stipe Miocic. Is Jon Jones likely to get an immediate title shot in his heavyweight debut? No. But let's say he fights and he wins, they're going to give him a title shot. The division's not that deep. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Who wins that fight?
I think Jon Jones can out-wrestle Stipe.
Erroneous! Stipe Miocic wins that fight.
I don't know what it's going to look like at heavyweight, but I know that Jon Jones is a better wrestler than Stipe.
Jon Jones is a better wrestler at light heavyweight. Heavyweight wrestling is a different animal.
He's still better than him.
Stipe controlled DC against a cage with an underhook and wrist controlled. 2 or 3 rounds worth.
DC also didn't go for any sort of wrestling in that fight.
Because Stipe controlled him. I think you're underrating Stipe's wrestling.
I think you're underrating Jon Jones' wrestling.
He's a good wrestler, but look at Stipe. When he came in for his last fight with DC, where he retained his title, and still, he was shredded. He was as lean as he's gonna get. What did he weigh, 229?
Oh.
Okay. Jon Jones can easily cut to 205. Stipe would have to severely deplete himself to get to 205.
Okay.
Stipe's a bigger guy.
He's a bigger guy, but Jon Jones got the reach.
Jones definitely has the reach.
Especially on Stipe.
Certainly on Stipe. He doesn't have the longest arms. Stipe hits harder.
Jon Jones has fought hard hitters.
Cleveland, till I die. Till I die.
I would have to say Jones has got it.
I gotta say Stipe. Till I die. Now the UFC has to book the fight so we can see what happens.
Yeah.
Alright, so that was our kind of recap on the Jon Jones situation in the UFC. He's not retired. He's no longer the light heavyweight champ. He's moving up to heavyweight. We want to see him fight. Who's he gonna fight?
Well, he's in negotiations.
That's a good point.
Yes.
That's a good point. In the past, the UFC, according to Jones, failed to provide the money he needed to fight. According to the UFC, Jones was being unreasonable.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it's
it
not
could
confirmed.
change. But that's what he wants to happen.
Right. And that's what I think all the fans want to happen. They've been wanting that for years. They wanted him to fight Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
We did a video on it years ago.
Yeah, they should have gotten that.
Yeah.
That would have been so awesome. Because it was like, he just had a dominant performance. Brock Lesnar was like, he's still a freaking genetic freak. It all changed when they both ended up popping, but that kind of tarnished that whole thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
They kind of swept it under the rug. But they're going to write a new story now. They're going to write the story between Jon Jones, who everyone has always said is the pound-for-pound greatest fighter of all time.
Yep.
And now Stipe, who they're saying is the greatest heavyweight of all time.
It's a good point.
So now it comes down to the greatest fighter of all time fighting the greatest heavyweight of all time. And if Jon Jones beats the greatest heavyweight of all time, I think at this point, Jon Jones can run for president and he can join NASA and he can just be the best fighter in the whole entire world forever and always.
He could be the first person launched to Mars on Elon Musk's SpaceX program thing.
Yeah, I mean, he will be the greatest fighter of all time with the way that the UFC has written the narrative so far.
I think that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that, but it would be hard to argue if Jones eventually did meet Stipe and defeat him. I think he would cement his legacy as the greatest fighter to ever fight in the UFC. Because we all know that Fedor Emelianenko is the greatest heavyweight of all time. Even though he never fought in the UFC, it doesn't matter. Fedor is the best. Alright, that's going to do it for us. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, like, comment, subscribe.
Tell us what you think.
Drop some matchups that you would like to see Jones in the heavyweight division in the comments. Let's talk about this because I'm amped to see him fight at heavyweight.
Yeah, and all of the matchups that could happen, it's going to be epic no matter what. If they really can make this happen for Jones, I really hope that now we get to see the real Jones at heavyweight. No excuses.
I want to see the real Jones because he'll fuck it up. He'll do lines, walk it out to the octagon.
The real fighter.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to. Not all the other stuff.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you next time. We're out.